I mean, just, you know, I'm big on mental health. Obviously, you know, it doesn't help the depression, and I'm sure you have PTSD from that moment, just having him die at your feet. How are you coping today? And I know you said you go to therapy. I would love to hear your journey with that.
I should have went to therapy sooner. I do have PTSD, depression, and anxiety. Obviously, the depression and anxiety got way worse after the juice thing. Honestly, like for a while, like after juice passed, like I honestly like I had lean in one of my bags still. You know what I mean? Like, and we got to Chicago, and like I didn't do any drugs at all, and it was months. And like I said, I never did those pills before. You know what I mean? I never ever bought one. I would do one and would just give me one, usually break it in half. But after that, a couple months after, I went on tour with Trippie Redd, and then I started getting really depressed. They were great. Like Trippie and his whole crew, like were really like they really brought me in, like treated me like family, like right away. Like Trippie's a really good dude.
Yeah.
But that's kind of when like I was on tour, and then like, you know, they would be having like little kickbacks and stuff like that in the studio or the hotel and stuff like that. But then a lot of times like I would just sneak off by myself and like go sit in the tour bus by myself. And like, then I started getting lean and pills and just getting fucked up alone.
Really?
Yeah. And then I kind of just did that off and on for a while, you know, and eventually.
Did anyone know you were going through it? Because I'm sure before you went on tour with Trippie, he knew your relationship with Juice and the whole situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody knew I was upset. I don't think anybody knew how upset I really was. You know what I mean? I'm
not even upset, but you're grieving your best friend's, you know, like.
I mean, one thing I learned in therapy is that if I went to therapy right away, I might have not gotten PTSD. The therapist told me like PTSD is something that kind of like sets in like in time. So I think it's probably, you know, after a few months, it started to hit me and get bad. And then, yeah, I mean, I still go through it. You know what I mean? Like it's hard. You can't escape it. You can't. There are kids every day. There's fans. And, you know, it doesn't matter if it's positive. You know, kids hitting you up, asking you just questions constantly, and like they don't mean anything by it. They're just kids, you know. And then there's people that obviously you get a lot of hate. You know what I mean? You get positive stuff. You get hate stuff. You get just kids that are too much, like asking you too much stuff, and like you don't want to talk about shit, but like it's hard to escape sometimes, you know.
Definitely.
Like you asked me. My IG's back, but like you asked me why my IG is like I had to disable it. You know what I mean?
As you should. You should take breaks whenever you need to.
Yeah, so
for sure. Damn, cause man, I mean, I know we talked about. We were there when G Herbo was talking on the panel at the documentary screening.
Yeah.
About how, you know, whether it was a good day or a bad day, he still took pills. Yeah. But after Juice passed, it was like, yo, like I think he did end up.
I think I mean, it was actually good to hear Herbo say that, because it's like the exact same thing that I went through. Like, you don't want to do these things, but then it's like you're doing the exact same thing that, you know, killed your friend, but it's like, I don't.
How else do you numb out in that moment?
It's like, and he was doing the same thing. He was numbing his depression and his pain and stuff with drugs, and then you just start doing the same thing. And then like a lot of it too is like, I would sit there and like it would just bring me like the taste of lean and shit like that. Like just brings you back to like just chilling and hanging out in the studio and having like good nights. You know what I mean? Like fun nights. And it's tough.
For sure.
It's tough.
I'll continue. No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I just, you know, but that wasn't Juice. Like Juice wasn't defined by his drug use. You know what I mean? Like he was a great person. You know what I mean? Like he cared about his friends. He wanted his friends around. He wanted to make good music. He wanted his friends there to make good music and show it off. And like there would be so many times that like it would start to get late and I would go to my room and like pass out on my bed, and it'd be like 4:03 in the morning. He come bust in my room. He's like, hey, come listen to this. You know what I mean? I'd like grab my blanket like a little kid and be walking to the studio, and then I'd be sitting in the studio and like you play a song for me, we listen to it, and then he'd start recording another. Then I'd wake up, it'd be like 8 a.m. and nobody's in the studio and I'm passed out on the couch alone. Then I'm like, all right, now I'm going back to bed. Yeah. But you know, like he just wanted his friends around. Like in the studio, he'd ask the other guys, like, hey, you know, I'm gonna start recording at this time tonight. Come hang out in the studio tonight. Like let's record for an hour, then let's go take the dirt bikes out. You know what I mean? Or let's go play paintball tomorrow. And he just wanted to do fun shit. Like had every video game. You know what I mean? Like wanted to play video games. We bought lightsabers and had like lightsaber wars, and like we just did goofy fucking kid shit all the time. You know, like we just had fun. Like that was who Juice really was. He was just a fun, caring person, you know? Right.
And I think he had like, 3,000 unreleased songs? What was...
A lot, yeah.
Just talk about his work ethic, like...
I mean, I've never... And that, even now, you know what I mean? Like, and I've been in the studio with really big artists, you know what I mean? I've seen them record. I've never seen anybody record like Juice, you know what I mean? Like, and you see some people do it, you know? But Juice was nobody like freestyle. Like Juice would put on a beat, and then he'd look at me. I'd start filming him, and he would just start freestyling to the beat and just freestyle for like 15 minutes. And then it's like, all right, sit down and record a song. Maybe he'll use some, if he liked that beat, you know what I mean? Maybe he used some stuff from that freestyle. Sometimes we would rewind it and rewatch it so he could like remember some of the lines he said, or sometimes it would be like a completely different song than what he just freestyled over the beat, you know? But it was multiple songs a day, almost every single day. Like I've never met anybody that just wanted to just sit down and record music as much as he did. So it was just unbelievable. And he could just bang out songs too. Like, you know, obviously not all songs are great. You know what I mean? Like I think all the songs are great because I'm obviously like one of his biggest fans. But like, you know, obviously some are humongous hits and some are just, you know, kind of whatever songs, but like he just would just do so much and he just had so much fun doing it.
Right.
And he never wrote. He just sat down and freestyled. And
That's incredible. Were you in the studio session when he was with Eminem?
Yeah. I was in that session. Eminem wasn't there. He FaceTimed Eminem.
Oh.
And they talked. But in the studio, we went to Dr. Dre's studio. And that night we sat in the studio, listened to music for a while. In the Burn music video, he's singing Burn to the camera, and he's wearing like a black shirt with a white stripe in the studio. D Savage is there. That was that night.
Got it.
That was the night in Dr. Dre's studio, and we were just sitting there listening. He was just playing music and listening to it, and I just started filming him. That's how we have like obviously footage of him singing some of the songs that he made that are now just getting released. But when it was time to record the actual verse for Eminem, they actually wouldn't let me let me record there, which just never happens. It's funny too because you know, Juice was always like, if anyone ever questioned me filming or whatever, he'd always be like, no, he's with me, he's good. You know, like never. You know, there's probably 3 or 4 times, and that was just because he was talking about something he didn't want on camera that he ever told me to like shut the camera off. You know what I mean? Like he wanted everything on film. And that was one of them because they wouldn't let us like record the music, and like because Dre and Eminem are obviously super tight about, you know, stuff getting leaked. Yeah, I get it. But that was the night he recorded it, and he recorded 2 verses. He recorded a verse, and then he looked at me and goes, "How is that?" And I'm like, "I think you can do something better." Really? And then he re-recorded something. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he did two different versions of it.
Was he hyped because, you know, Eminem?
Yeah, he was excited about it. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
Obviously, the posthumous album Fighting Demons came out. Man, I don't know about you, but I cried listening to the project. Like, do you even listen? Because I'm sure it triggers a lot for you.
Yeah, I do listen to a lot of his music still. The music is up and down. Some days I can, some days I can't.
Right.
Documentary, I can't.
Right.
I tried to watch it like last week to get ready for this interview, you know, and I got like, I mean, I couldn't even.
Yeah.
15 minutes and I was done. I couldn't even stand it anymore. I mean, I want to watch it, you know what I mean? But it's like, it's
And I actually really appreciate that you want to come on here and shed the positive light on Juice, because I know the documentary did focus on his drug use a lot.
It was the documentary was, I think it was good and it was a part of him, but it was very focused on the drug use. And I wish, and I'm not dissing the documentary at all. And Tommy's a great guy, you know what I mean? But, I do wish it did focus a lot on like his friendships and how he was as a person and stuff like that, which, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of funny because the documentary is kind of like a big Chris Long vlog in a way. You know what I mean? It's like, you can tell it's my footage almost. So, but yeah, I mean, that was a big part of him. But I also want to make sure people know, like, that just because he was addicted to drugs doesn't mean like that's who he was as a person. You know what I mean? Like, that's not who he was. That's not that's where his heart was and stuff like that. He cared about his friends. He cared about his family. Maybe he wasn't good at coping and dealing with depression and anxiety and dealt with it the wrong way, which a lot of people do. I mean, after he died, I did the exact same thing. You know what I mean? Like, and I say this to people all the time, like, even if you're healthy or you think you're healthy or whatever, like, therapy's great.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I think everybody should be talking to someone, even if you're not depressed or whatever. Like, therapy is great for people, especially like young people, and especially with the drugs that people use and how they use drugs to numb themselves. It's like, go talk to someone. Like, just learn to cope in a better way. You know what I mean? And I'm one to talk, can be sounding hypocritical at the moment. You know what I mean? Because I will do the same thing and fucking numb myself with drugs, but it's like, it's not the right way to handle it. It's like, you need to learn how to cope and deal with whatever is bothering you and not resort to drugs and not do that, and have the proper like support. And I want to be really open about things and stuff like that, because like that's something I actually learned from Juice. Like, he didn't hide the way he felt. He didn't hide the way, like him having anxiety or depression or what was bothering him. He openly sang about it and talked about it. Would go on Instagram Live. You know what I mean? His drug use, everything. He was open, and it's like, that's how we should be. You know what I mean? Like, we should be open about it. And that's why it's like, yeah, I haven't been that great since he died. You know what I mean? Like, it's been really hard on me. But like, there's help, and I dealt with it in bad ways, but like, you need to get real help. People need to get real help. 1000%.
Speaking of support, what's your relationship with Allie? I'm sure you guys are happy to have each other throughout this.
Yeah. That's one thing. Like, I always want to be there for Allie. You know what I mean? Like, that was Juice loved her. Like, there's no question. Juice was absolutely in love with her, and then she loved him. They loved each other. It was, people say what they want or whatever on the internet, but like, Juice adored her. And one of the hardest things is the moment when he died, and like seeing him and looking into his eyes, and then but her like crying and praying. Like, I lost my friend and I watched him go, and I lost her, lose like the love of her life. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's hard. Like, and Allie knows this. I talked to her about it. Like, sometimes it's hard for me to be around her because like it can trigger me. You know what I mean? But like, she was living like right down the street from me. I'd go over there sometimes at night, smoke a blunt, talk to her for a couple hours and stuff like that, and hang out and I just try to be there for her. You know what I mean? As much as I can.
Definitely.
I'm always gonna. That's Juice was, one of my best friends, and that was the love of his life, and I'm always gonna be there for her because he'd want that. You know what I mean? So
definitely. I know she wanted to get pregnant with him too, right?
Yeah.
Were you there for that moment?
Yeah. I mean, they talked about it. And they talked about it a bunch and stuff like that. Like, Juice, I mean, that's what they wanted. You know what I mean? Like, they
were lovers.
Yeah, they're just in love. Juice is a lover.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think Cole said that in the documentary. Like, Juice, and that's like the best way to describe it. Like, Juice was a lover.
Definitely. So when Vlad interviewed Baby, Baby was saying that he flew all the way to Juice, and Juice wouldn't even get out the hotel room.
Yeah, I mean, Juice didn't. I mean, that was kind of like one of the things I liked about Juice, you know, not because of like he was locked in the hotel room doing drugs or anything like that. Like, he just didn't want to go do anything else. Like, he didn't do normal rapper shit. We didn't go do dumb shit. We didn't go to the strip club. We didn't go to clubs or whatever. Like, he didn't care about going to some special fancy restaurant or whatever. He's like, let's just chill out in the hotel, and Max comes through, sets up the studio, and we record. You know, he's on tour. He just does this huge show. We go back to the hotel room, and then we're recording until 4 a.m. Right. Or if we didn't record, it's like me, him, and Allie just like chilling out watching The Office on Netflix. You know what I mean? Like, they're just, he just wanted his friends around. There's so many times he'd just text me. He's like, yo, if we're home or on tour or whatever, he'd just be like, come to my room. And we just lay around and watch TV all day. He just wanted to be around his friends and family. Like, he just wanted to, you know, he didn't need to go out and do any extra shit, any over the top. He doesn't, like I said, he didn't care about money. Like, Juice didn't buy cars, you know what I mean? Like, and he bought like a couple expensive watches and stuff like that, but he didn't buy a bunch of chains or anything. Like, he bought a bunch of dirt bikes. He bought a bunch of dirt bikes so he could ride with him and his friends. You know what I mean? Like, all right, cool. I got like 10 bikes outside. Let's all go for a cruise together. You know what I mean? Like, He went to the paintball store and he spent, you know, a ton of money and bought 10 of the best paintball guns, you know what I mean? And paintballs and all the gear so we could all play paintball together. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like selfish or any means. He didn't care about anything. He just honestly cared about just having fun and being with his friends.
Right. Yeah. That's beautiful. Just you being such a big factor in the situation. Do you have any advice for people who are struggling with substance abuse, or addicts, or have friends that, you know, are on the brink of, you know, rock bottom? Because obviously, I'm sure, you know, you look back and you're like, damn, I wish I could have done this. But in hindsight, there's really nothing you could have done.
Yeah, I mean, that is the thing. In hindsight, it's like, you have to understand you can't make an addict stop doing drugs unless they want to stop doing drugs. It's like, the best you can do is just be a support system and try to, you know, talk about the positives of not doing the drugs and trying to get them, you know, try to get help, try to get therapy, you know, AA or whatever. Go to a treatment center if you can, you know, and that's not easy for everyone, but it's like, whatever you can do. If, you know, I have the free California whatever insurance, you know what I mean? And it's like, I got a therapist, and it wasn't easy, you know what I mean? Like, it was kind of a bitch, but like, it's like I had to do it. And it's like, you have to, and if you have to do that for your friend, if you have to take their insurance card or whatever, or, you know what I mean? Like, you have to let your friend borrow $200 if you can to go to a therapy session, you know what I mean? Like, you got to do what you got to do. If you got to get them into AA or NA, or just be there and just you got to convince them that you want them there and what they're doing isn't worth it. And like, which is hard. Right. It's not easy.
Definitely.
It's not easy to do.
Definitely. So. Man, well, on a positive note, talk about working with Ski, Mask The Slump God. I love him. He's an amazing human being.
Ski's awesome. I love Ski. Ski has become a really good friend. I mean, we were friends before, you know, but we've gotten really close in the past year. Me and Ski get along really well because Ski went through some shit too. I mean, he went through what he went through with X, and then he was friends with Juice also.
Right. I think I saw him in the documentary, right?
Yeah. Okay. And DJ Scheme is Ski's DJ, and I'm really good friends with Scheme. And Scheme was with us. Like, Scheme lived with us at the house that summer, so he was really close with us too. So we're family, you know what I mean? So we all went through that shit together, and especially those guys, you know what I mean? Like, and I know Ski kind of struggles with the same feelings that I have, you know what I mean? Like, especially like with the ups and downs of losing your friends, and like, you know, like, it comes in waves and stuff like that. You know, you have your ups and you have your downs and stuff like that. And like, I think he knows when I start to get really sad and depressed, and like, he reaches out to me and talks to me and like makes sure I'm good. You know, he makes sure I'm okay and everything's good. You know, like, he's someone that cares. You know what I mean? Like, they're, you know, in this industry, not everyone's your friend. You might know a lot of people, you know, you might be acquaintances with a lot of people. You might be surface level friends with a lot of people, but it takes a lot for someone to be a true friend, you know? And that's what you got to watch out for out here. But when you find it, it's like, hold on to it, you know?
Definitely. That's beautiful. Is there anything else you're working on that people should look out for?
Just my own stuff. Like, I mean, I do my YouTube channel, which is Chris Long Films. My Instagram is Chris Long Films. It's all the same stuff. My chrislongfilms.com website will be up pretty soon. I sell like prints. I'm gonna do some like photo tees and stuff like that. I'm gonna have some books come out in the future too.
Okay. What are the books about?
I'm gonna do like photo books.
Oh, photo
like
book.
I'm gonna do like a general photo book, and then I might do a photo book of just all Juice stuff.
Oh,
we'll see.
wow.
Yeah, we'll see.
Oh,
what's
that's
going
beautiful.
Stuff. Yeah. You know, there's other things in the works maybe, but you know, the YouTube is like my biggest thing going right now. Besides like when I work with other artists or whatever, if I work a job, I'll do like Rolling Loud. And I do a lot of the behind the scenes for Lyrical Lemonade.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So,
awesome.
I just move around, try to get it in where I can, you know what I mean?
Right.
Plus do my own stuff. And
for sure.
Yeah.
Is photography your biggest, what brings you the most joy? Or was it?
I like doing photography. Photography is the most, I mean, I like doing video too. Like I like, like look at the Juice documentary. Like look at, we have all that footage because I never stopped recording, you know what I mean? But I think the most satisfaction is when I get like a photo back I really like. I think I like, yeah, that's for me is the most.
Given that it was your footage, did they ask you any, permission in the documentary to use any of that, or like?
Yeah, I mean, I gave them all the footage to use and stuff.
Because that's a lot to go through.
Yeah, no, I gave them like 3 terabytes of footage.
Oh my god!
And I think Steve Cannon also gave him about 3 terabytes of footage. Yeah.
Oh wow! Shout out to Steve. I was just DMing him. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Damn. Well, thank you so much for being so vulnerable.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we got your back no matter what. I personally have your back. Like it's all love. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it.